On this episode of Curtain Call, we visit the Whittle Theatre in Wolfville, Nova Scotia. When driving through Wolfville, there is one sign that always takes my breath away, that being the beautiful Acadia Cinema sign, restored and hanging proudly above the Whittle Theatre. Inside, a gorgeous space ready for a variety of different shows and events. But before we get into the present day, a deep dive into the history of the theatre is an incredible ride for art and movie lovers alike.
I'm a longtime Wolfville resident. Actually met my wife here at Acadia back in the 70s when this was a working cinema. My connection to the theater goes back that far to when I was a patron, I guess you could say. In the early 2000s, the theater closed under a lot of pressure from multiplexes and VHS and, the kinds of new media that was out there. A group of people were very keen to see it kept as a theater, as a film house, and as a performance space. A couple of groups came together in an ad hoc fashion. I was on that original ad hoc board to see if we could develop an enterprise, a cooperative enterprise, which at that time included Just Us Coffee Roasters, the Fundy Film Society, which was showing regular films in the Empire Cinema in New Minas, and the Acadia Cinema Co-op was born. My role ended for a while at that point, but I came back a number of years later on the board and worked for about 10 years. Well, the mission was reopen the building in conjunction with Just Us Coffee Roasters. The building was purchased and renovations began. There was a lot of fundraising to do from all levels of government, but also a plan for share sales was initiated, and we had tremendous response to the share sale. A lot of people wanted to see this happen and bought $100 shares, basically non-redeemable. It was an investment in the community rather than a financial incentive. McKay Real Estate gave us money to put in a sprung stage so that we could do dance and other kinds of things here. The mission was to maintain and improve a space for creative arts, for theater and performance in the region, not just for Wolfville, but for the larger area. And it's been doing that since 2004.
My name is Mary Harwell, and I am the theater manager. The role has morphed a little bit over the years. When I first started, it was mostly booking renters in, dealing with making sure we had technicians on for renters. Since the pandemic, we lost a couple renters. We wanted to keep on having films, so now I do all the booking of the movies as well. We call it the Acadia Cinema Cooperative Film Series, so an ACC film series that we have.
It's hard to fathom something standing today that started over 100 years ago, but the Whittle Theatre is one of the few that can make that claim.
No, it goes back to 1911 when it was the Opera House, actually, and there was a large wooden structure where we're sitting here now that brought in opera and all kinds of performances on a stage. Films probably didn't come until it was the Orpheum in the 20s, 23, I think, and ran as both a community theater space and as a film house until the late 40s when it was purchased and turned into exclusively a film house. In the 50s, Whittle was hired as the youngest theater manager in Canada. Came to us from New Brunswick and stayed here until he retired in the year 2000 and was an active board member until he passed away a couple of years ago. Like all theaters in the mid-'80s and early '90s, there was a lot of competition for eyeballs. VHS put theaters in people's homes. So the multiplexes really made it a better option for people who wanted to go and see things in the theater. They had multiple choices. In fact, Al Whittle took the original Acadia Theatre and divided it into two initially, the Acadia Cinemas, and then at one point divided it into a third theater space so he could keep films rolling here to meet the requirements of the studios who needed to have films running for 2 weeks at a time. Even though he might not get any customers in that third cinema, he was able to meet his obligation. The family wanted to keep it open as long as Al was working, and when he retired in 2000, they put it up for sale. The theater was purchased by a family in New Brunswick, a business enterprise, and they owned and ran this as a theater and hired Al. And actually, I think they kept the theater open longer than they might have otherwise to keep Al employed. He was a loyal employee and doing a great job. So when he retired and they sold the building to the co-op, they stipulated that the theater be named for Al Whittle, and so here we are. 2004 was a really exciting time. There were a lot of volunteers who renovated the space, tore it out and rebuilt it. In preparation for the relaunch, the marquee outside was effectively rebuilt so that the lights all worked and it would shine out Acadia. So with a crowd gathered outside, there was a special lever that was constructed, and the town's mayor and the university's president at the time both switched the lever, and on came the marquee lights to say Acadia, and then people were allowed into the new Al Whittle Theatre. It's an artifact of another time, but also I think represents the community's effort to keep alive a cultural hub for the area. There is, potentially confusion. I don't know if it's confusion or if it's an asset, but the name of the university and the name of the theater are the same. 20 yards from here is the university, so the Al Whittle Theatre name has become our branding really for the theater to help to separate it a little bit and to clarify that we are not part of the university. But you can't deny the name Acadia. It's the same as the university, and it's used in every promotion that the university puts out, and the same is true for the town. It is an iconic representation of community for the town of Wolfville and the university.
The Al Whittle Theatre not only houses a theater stage, but a variety of different spaces throughout, creating a real mixing bowl for the needs of those visiting as performers, as well as audience members.
So the theater is made up of several parts. We have the Al Whittle Theatre, which is a 160-seat multi-purpose venue. We do movies, concerts, and stage shows and dance here.
As you enter the Al Whittle Theatre, you are introduced to a stunning theater space, ready for any type of performance or film showing imaginable.
We also have the Studio Z space, which is an upstairs space. When there's live theater or concerts in the theater, we use the upstairs space as a dressing room and green room. We also rent it on its own for like birthday parties and meetings, that sort of thing.
the Studio Z space allows for showings and private rehearsal space for those looking for a smaller spot to rent.
Then in front of the theater, where there's actually a lobby area, that lobby space is shared with Just Us Coffee. Just Us runs a cafe in the very front of the building, and the lobby is considered the lobby of the theater, but it's also part of the cafe, and it is also known as Jack's Gallery, which is a gallery of local artists. It's run by a society, and they change the art there every month.
Backstage, various hallways allow for quiet and easy access throughout the theater for those performing on stage and those working behind the scenes. Along with gear ready for use. At the back of the theater is the booth, equipped with lighting, projection, and audio controls. Including a control system for video streaming and archiving.
During the pandemic, when we had very limited audience capacity, we could really only fit about 35 to 50 people in here. At that time, a lot of people were doing a lot more streaming, so we applied for some funding, and we actually got some funding that helped pay for us to install streaming equipment. There are 3 remote controlled cameras and a 4th camera that can be handheld, and the software and computers necessary to actually do streaming. So this allowed renters, if they wanted to do a live show, they could have a small audience, but it could also stream the show to anybody at home watching. The cameras are also, because it will record the show, what we can do is just use it for archival purposes. So for theater shows and stuff that want to get a nice recording of their event, now we have the capacity because we've got these cameras.
In the projection room, a beautiful old film projector catches your immediate eye, a stunning piece of technology from the past. Right next to the old projector is a new digital cinema system for the theater, allowing for modern-day quality for films shown at the Whittle. Along with the venue's main amenities, the theater also works with local groups to allow the growth and education of the theater world.
My name is Emily Burton, and I own and operate the Valley Drama School, which is just down the road from the Whittle Theatre, actually. So it's a local drama school. We've got over 100 students now, and we use the theatre on a very regular basis for our productions, for rehearsals, just for fun for the littlest kids. We bring them in a lot. The students learn and act in our little drama studio, but to give them that experience on a big stage like this, especially the younger ones that have never been in here, when we bring them in for the first time, the look on their face is like they just, light up. And especially for acting, We work on vocal projection and articulation and things like that in the studio, but to be in a huge space like this, it's a game changer. So wonderful to have this space here, and Mary, the manager, just works with us and has just been so wonderful and supportive of the little school that we have here. I don't think that my drama school would operate in the same way that it does without the Al Whittle here. Especially being neighbors, being 2 doors down, the kids can get into their costumes at the studio, and then we can walk over here, and it's such a safe, short walk. Our first year during COVID, we were outside, which was fun, and it's outdoor theater's an adventure on its own. But you know, when we came in here for the first time, they couldn't believe the lighting, like the tech that we would do, and the sound, and even the projections. Just a full theatrical experience for them. We play this game, I don't think Mary knows this, but we play this game called the Phantom of the Opera when they come in here, and it's their favorite thing in the whole world. So there's one Phantom and there's one Angel of Music, and it's a game where they can go anywhere in the theater backstage. So this is to help us to learn to be extremely quiet and careful when we step backstage. So during a production, obviously the audience can hear everything in the wings. So this kind of helps the students to step very lightly and speak very, very in their off-stage voice as opposed to when they're on stage. And it's great practice for them because we do have all of our final productions here. We hosted quite a large drama festival with 8 productions here in the spring. So it's really important to give them that experience and practice on the big stage prior to performing with a big audience.
Like any successful venue, one crucial aspect of that success is due to the team behind the theater. And with 100 years of history, the Al Whittle is no different.
Well, in addition to volunteers who renovated and maintain this space, we have technicians who often give their time. We have a volunteer board who's very active and rotates every 3 years. So there's people coming and going with different skill sets, and that's been hugely beneficial for fundraising and operations. We were able to hire a part-time theater manager in Mary Harwell, which has been a godsend, really, to have someone with those skills to manage the theater for us. Also, the performing and cultural community uses the theater. Deep Roots Music Festival puts on concerts here. The Devour Food Film Festival uses it as one of its venues. So the community uses it, and that's, of course, to the benefit of keeping it open and keeping it relevant. It's not just a film house. It's not just a community theater space. It is a cultural hub, and the people in the town and the county and elsewhere use it.
I think we provide an affordable option for people that want to put on a show. We don't have a box office per se. So when people rent the theater, there is a fee for the theater, but they get the entire box office. There aren't very many places where you can get that sort of thing. It is a historical spot. It's a hub in a lot of ways. It's right in the center of town. There's a lot of love for this space. A lot of the people around here have a history with this space. For us to show these films, these are not films that you can see really anywhere else in the valley. It gives us a chance to show some documentaries and art films that and foreign films that otherwise people wouldn't get a chance to see. So there's a lot of reasons I think it's an important place.
Well, it was a very popular spot for students through the 50s and the 60s and into the 70s. Al would put on special nights, pajama parties, and people would come in their pajamas and get free entry or things like that. The Pink Panther promotion was a big one, and people wearing pink. So students were involved here as audience members and also working the ticket counter, and some of them running the film projector. So there was a constant flow of students coming in and out of the theater over the years.
I mean, theater is so wonderful for kids in so many different ways. I mean, for me, I just had my 3-year anniversary, I guess, from when I started. And I've had a lot of students who have been with me from the beginning, from day one. And it was actually in this theater, in the Al Whittle, where I had my first epiphany as a teacher. And it were 2 students that I've had from the beginning. They were so sweet and shy. I was sitting out there, and as they were performing their final scene of the year, they were just so expressive, and their voices were huge, and they were just articulating so well, and nice, clear, loud voices, and really in the character. And it was just amazing to see, because they've come so far in just 3 years in terms of their confidence, really, and their courage to get up in front of a bunch of people and be so clear and expressive. And there's so many things that you need to think about when you're acting. It's, you're got to be grounded, you have to be projecting, you have to be clear, and your pacing has to be, so it's hard for them to put all of these things together when they're so young. I think the confidence is a huge gain that I've noticed. And also the friendships. I've seen so many students come at the start and they're really shy, and they've made wonderful lifelong friends over these last 3 years. Like, I'm still really, really good friends with the theater friends that I made when I was young. So I'm sure it'll be the same for them.
As with all theaters in the province, the recent pandemic made things incredibly difficult for the theater world. Now, with safety nets in place, audience members are returning, for the most part, to venues once again.
I think people were quite eager to get back out, but we've lost a lot of our old audience. I do think immediately, when things started to open up, there was definitely a surge of, oh, I just need to get out, or I'm so happy. But it's taken a long time, and I'm still finding people that say, oh, it's the first time I've been out in 2 years. I think there is an interest in going out to events, but we're also kind of still struggling to find, to get full houses. And part of that is how people get their media now has changed a little bit. And part of it is that what we've been working really hard towards is making things an event, like making sure that it's not just like watching a movie at home. It's special to be in a theater with a crowd of people and see a live show, or even just see a movie. That's a very different feel than sitting on your sofa at home. So we're trying to impress upon people that it's an event to go out and make it special for them. So that's what we're working towards. So the board is actively involved in decision-making and the future, and how we look at the future of this building. In order to be on the board, you have to be a member. So you have to have purchased a share. And the shareholders are over 800 shareholders in this organization, but it's still, a lot of people have moved on or moved away or that sort of thing. So we're always looking for people that are interested in being a part of this building and looking at the future of this building, because it's an important part of Wolfville.
As the history of the Al Whittle Theatre continues to expand, there's one moment for me personally that will always stand out. A night where I got to see my favorite film, Star Wars, with people very close to me. One who unfortunately isn't with us anymore. But despite the physical not being here, the memory of that night at the theater will stay with me for the rest of time. And I know I'll be returning to the venue time and time again in the future, making sure to take in every moment of the theater named after a lover of cinema, Al Whittle.